Hello and welcome to Six Figure Souls Doing Good and Making Money. This is a very special season 7 highlighting my co-authors of our new collaborative book project, The Ultimate Guide to Becoming a Successful Soul Professional. I am your host, Camille Miller, lead author of the book and pioneer for the soul professional movement. Today we are interviewing Claudia Haller. She is a board certified health and wellness coach and founder of Vibrant Health by Claudia. Hello, Claudia. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you, Camille. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So Claudia has actually been in both of our book projects. She was in the first one helping talk about, and by the way, amazing story about how you created your business. And now you're joining us in our second book of the way to becoming a successful soul professional, because you have really grown even since I've known you for probably, I don't know, 2 years now, maybe not even, I'm not sure. Tell us a little bit about your backstory. It doesn't have to be a long, but how you ended up being a health and wellness coach. It's usually that aha moment, and then we'll bring it forward to just creating the business to, really scaling it and now running your own community as well.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thanks again for having me and for having me in both of those books. It was just a great experience, a learning experience both times, and just a wonderful community of authors. And so I'm very happy to be part of this.
Thank you.
I moved to the US and I was up probably 20 years ago,
Hmm.
and very quickly felt very overwhelmed. I got sick and depressed, and I just was trying to find my way out of it. And I did not find it with doctors and nutritionists, and it got to the point where it became really dark, like very dark times. And I to this day feel very bad for my kids for what they had to experience. And at the end of the day, I felt like I need to find my way out of this for my family. And I realized that it is a bunch of different things. So it is what I feed myself, what I tell myself, what my perception is of life, and that it was not one person that can help me. It's not one doctor, not one nutritionist, not one therapist, and I found my way in health coaching. And so I went back to school. I wanted to figure it out. Like, how do I better myself in all these areas? And health coaching was the way. To have a business was never the plan, but to graduate, I had to have experience and had to have talked to 10 people. And then I realized I'm not alone. Like, there's other people that need help. And
Yeah.
so that's how the business was born.
Lovely. And so tell us about how you started to scale your business, how you've really found your ideal client. So it started to come to you. And then I know that you also bought into a community for the board certified coaches. And now
Right,
you're creating your own membership group.
right. I think I always was struggling with target market, and I just always felt like I felt like I had my back to the wall if I had to talk about this. But at the end of the day, the people I talk to that come to me all have kind of the same issues that I had. I think it's
Yeah.
mainly negative mindset. It's like limiting beliefs, and it's total overwhelm. And lately, I think the past year or so, I would say it is undiagnosed women with ADD or ADHD, because I think at our age, big problem of my journey was that I was not diagnosed with what was really going on. I was diagnosed with depression, and in my journey after like doing I had brain scans done and all of that,
Yeah.
I learned that I'm dealing with a couple different things, well, not more than just a couple, but it was undiagnosed, and that made me depressed. So
Gotcha.
I think like the people I speak to probably are my age, in the 40s, 50s, and they struggle with similar issues, and they most often don't know that it's ADD or ADHD, because I just don't believe at our age that was a thing.
No.
But we become
Yeah.
depressed because we're high functioning and exhausted ADHD or ADD women. And so that's who I work. My work goes around brain health mostly, and mindset.
Nice, nice. I find just when I talk to entrepreneurs in general, we tend to attract who we were 2 years ago or during our journey because that's who we have the answers for.
That's exactly
Right.
correct. And
Yeah,
I think when we use in our industry things like, do you want to live healthy and happy, that just does not hit us between the eyes.
right.
When I talk about things that happened to me, or when I listen and what my clients say, like what are they really struggling with, and you use that in what you write and talk about, that's where people relate. And I think that's exactly then who you attract. It's
Yeah, yeah. And do you find in your clientele that it's more than just nutrition, right? It's thoughts, it's things, I feel like our inner health, right, is so much more than just what we put inside us or our amount that we're exercising. It's really our daily thoughts and actions and, you know, how the
that
world is around us, what we're thinking about ourselves.
that is, I mean, that's spot on. Now, of
Yeah,
course, people, when they see a number on the scale or get a health scare, that's when they want to work with somebody, right? Like, for
right.
example, health coach, and then it's like, help me lose those 10 pounds. But where did they come from? And it is an absolute belief of mine that food is medicine. I believe that whatever you put in your mouth either is you make a deposit in your health account or you withdraw, and you better not be withdrawing more than you put in.
I like that.
I feel like I also have a strong belief that your mindset's your superpower, because as many of you know, like the mind can take you really dark places and it can take you in good places. So I really believe in mindset. But even what people don't think about, I feel like a lot of times, is the practicality of stuff. Like if a doctor says go and eat healthy, and then the patients go home and like, I don't know what that means,
Yeah.
or work out more. But to really work with clients and say, well, when are you going to work out? What are you going to do? What are you going to wear? When are your clothes going to be ready? The practicality is where it breaks down. And that
Okay.
is one of my key things when I work with my clients. Like, tell me more about how this actually, whatever you're trying to work on, where is it going to fit in your day, and how are you going to make it fit? And that's where we get traction, because if we miss the practicality, it just doesn't happen. And then there's another failure, another disappointment, and people are back at square one.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about global entrepreneurship with you. You're the perfect candidate because you were living in the U.S. when I met you, and actually you'd been living there for a while. Now you have moved back out. I know you fly back and forth a lot. And while you're doing this, not only are you a mom, but you're an entrepreneur and you have so much other things on your shoulders, to say the least, right?
Right.
And how do you balance your work and your business? Because I think people listening to this are like, how do I balance it all? I do so much. I'm a single mom, right? I don't travel as much. That's something that I do want to do, but I want to bring my business with me. And when you moved out of the U.S., you brought your business with you. So can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about that for our listeners?
Yeah. So I definitely made the mistake of waiting in the beginning, like during the relocation, which was a huge disaster. Everything went kind of wrong. We
Yeah.
almost got forgotten in the mix and stuff like that. We went to Switzerland. We didn't even have temporary housing in the beginning. It was just
Oof.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But what I realized is, like, we cannot wait for things to be perfect to make time for our businesses, because this will never happen. Because of my own issues with ADHD and ADD, I need structure, or my brain
Yeah.
is just going all over the place. So I found personally, I use something I call, it's the full focus planner, and it really guides me through my days with what's important today, what are the few things that need to get done, what are my work rituals. Like, I need that to be have structure in such a, I think, to be an entrepreneur and live a life of like traveling a lot and having a lot going on in the family. it, we need to really be structured. And to what I also realize is, nobody's going to make my business more important than me.
Oh, I love
If
that.
I
Yep.
don't say this is important to me, nobody else is going to say, hey, you have to work, right?
Yeah.
And I think So I really am very structured with my time, and I take help. Like I've now a team of 4 people who help me because I I can't do everything, or I'm showing up in the wrong places.
That's fantastic.
Mm.
I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs fall down. The idea of entrepreneurship, I was actually speaking yesterday in New York City about this, of people that want to become entrepreneurs. They're still in the beginning stages of contemplating. And I was like, the hardest part is showing up for work because you think in your head, I'm a business owner. I own this. I can do whatever I want. I could not show up. I can take days off. But especially in the beginning, or a change, like you had a change in your life, or if you're scaling up, it's more hours. Like, you are working so much in your business. And I think that's just a part of building it. But you have to show up and you have to have follow through. So I love that you mentioned you really needed the structure. And I know as I started to scale, I made more structure. I made my days longer. I show up earlier. I work a little later, and I used to take off Fridays, and I don't this year because I'm trying to hit a goal, and I'm like, okay, no more. And if I have
That's
to work
exactly true.
Saturday, yep.
I think and I feel like that's so true with life too, and business, is when we have an overall goal. Like, if I really, it's the one thing I think is important too is I don't think that there's a separation necessarily between my personal life and my business life as much, because we're the same person, and
Yeah.
it comes together. Like, if you're an entrepreneur and we're the face of it, we are the business. So
Yep.
to me, it's just not that simple. You can't, I think, where it all comes together. That's one thing. The other thing is, if I know every day who I want to be in life, who I aspire to be, and what I aspire to achieve in my businesses, and I connect with that every day, and I really do, then every decision I have to make in my day has to be towards my goals, personally as well as professionally. And if it doesn't fit in it, it just, there's no room, because there are so many things to balance. And to speak about, like, when I took help, like, I don't think I was necessarily in the beginning in a place where it made financially a lot of sense, but I knew
Yeah.
that if I'm not taking help right now, it definitely will not, it will, it will not get where I want to go. And to find the people, that also took me a little time to find the right people for the right things, to really listen to. I now have people, I feel like they turn around things in less than 24 hours because they want to do what they want to do. But I made the mistake of trying to have people do things that it wasn't in their what do you call that?
Wheelhouse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in their house, and it's just not coming back. And then I wait to do my things, and then just everything falls apart. And the
Yep.
last thing I'll say is, when we do things like halfway, I feel like, then that's the people you attract as well. And I had that lesson too. Like,
Oh, good one. Yeah.
so I really feel like, yeah, so just, you have to be all in. Not all in means 100, 24/7 all day long, but really be convinced that what you have to give matters. And
Yep.
that, yeah.
I love that. I love that. When you're in, I just wrote it down. When you're halfway, that's who you attract, and that's so true. Like, and when you come from a place of lack, or I'm not enough, or that's who you attract, and you're always like, why won't people pay? Well, because that's how you're feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Look in the mirror. That's You're
Very
reflecting that, and that's what's coming back to you. The universe always gives you what you attract. I love that.
that's
I love that. And I love what you say about hiring. I think that's another place where a lot of entrepreneurs fall down. And when you're trying to scale or even sustain a good level of business, that you as the entrepreneur have to stay at your highest self. So for you, it's coaching. You need to be the one coaching, and all that behind the scenes can get done by other people. I learned the hard way, and I wrote about this in my chapter, of hiring the wrong people that I thought fit the position, but really didn't, spending a lot of money and losing a lot of money on that. And I found the right way to do it was to hire part-time people very specialized in what they do.
Exactly.
right? And I have 10 or 12 people right now that are so specialized in exactly what they do. So I know, like, if it's SEO, I talk to this person. If it's my admin, I talk to this one. And I have actually 2 admin assistants that do totally different things, right? And figuring out and having those conversations about, what do you love to do? What would you like to get rid of? So every time before I hire the next person, I go to every person and say, what do you love to do and what do you want to get rid of? And then we kind of create that new job with everything everyone wants to get rid of.
And
Right?
that's, I mean, that's so true. I think when I started making the right decisions about who I work with is when I was asked the question, when I was kind of brainstorming, who am I even looking for? The question was like, what is not getting done?
Yep.
Like, what is it things that are you need to do that are not getting done?
Yep.
And what are things that you just don't want to do? And I think as entrepreneurs, we have a passion, we have a gift, but then there's all this stuff that is part of a business that we don't, it's just not in our wheelhouse. We don't like doing it, or we're not good at it, and that's okay. And that's what has to go.
Yeah.
Or hand it over. And at the end of the day, it just I really believe life and business is a team sport, and I think everybody has a role. I do.
I love
I've told
that.
this story before. Like,
Yeah.
I remember the first time I watched football, I would say to my husband, why are there big, heavy people and then skinny, little ones? Like, I don't understand how they're on the same team. And then he went on to explain to me that they all do different things and they come on the field at different times. And I'm like, okay. And in life, it's so much the same. I feel like we have different gifts, we have different roles to play. And one thing that I so firmly believe is we have to stop feeling that in business and in life, we have to be everything for everybody. We have to be okay with what is our gift, what are our talents, and give that, right? And also don't expect from other people that they have to be everything for us. They
Yeah.
cannot give, and that's in business and in life the same.
Yep.
Cannot give what you don't have, and not everybody has everything. But let's be a team. Let's bring to the table our strengths, our gifts, and then just be better together. And I
Yeah.
really firmly believe that.
I love that. Managing expectations.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. And
And
just being who we are at the core, and knowing that the people that don't serve us, who are not our clients, are just as
oh
important.
yeah. And then the other thing, and we talked about this before, I know, but I just want to kind of say this one more time because has made such a difference for me as well, is when I feel torn, and you've heard this many times from me, I'm sure. When I feel torn, or when we feel torn in life, or as entrepreneurs, and I've learned I didn't come up with this, but to really figure out, am I just afraid to do something new, or does it just feel totally wrong? And especially in in this community, it's really about alignment. And
Absolutely.
if we get a weird feeling, the difference is, does it feel just totally wrong and it's not for us, or am I just afraid
Yeah.
because it's outside of my comfort zone?
I
So
have
that's a
this,
huge thing.
sorry. I have this little sticky note next to my desk. It says, is it scary or is it wrong?
Yeah,
It
that's what I was
reminds
talking
me
about.
all the time.
That's exactly what I
Where
was
is this
talking
coming
about.
from? Where
Yeah.
is this coming from?
Yeah,
That's
does
terrific
it
one.
feel scary or wrong? That's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one of my go-tos when I get torn.
I
And
love
it
that.
works out.
I love
Yeah.
that. So Claudia, I want to talk about the book for a few minutes. You were in our first book. What made you decide to also tell your story in our second book? And was the experience of writing different for you?
Well, the first one was, everything was brand new, but I think it has just settled a lot in my family, especially like for my kids to read the chapter. It's just like I came to peace with a lot of the history of where, with all of that. And then you just go a little bit deeper, right? And you learn every time. And I think it's just a wonderful experience. And even like as I was writing this chapter, it's another part of my story that I found closure, even more so now that I see it in front of me.
Yeah.
And it's really very fulfilling, and it just feels like everything happens for a reason.
Oh,
Yeah.
it does. Right. Claudia, what's the name of your chapter?
My chapter is Not Broken, Just Different, Harnessing the Power of a Broken Brain. Broken.
Oh, I love that. Not broken, just different. That
Yeah.
is fabulous. I can't wait. I can't wait to read it. I have not read anyone's chapters, but I was blown away by the chapter in your first book, like blown away. Even though I knew your story, you just wrote so eloquently. I loved
Yeah.
it.
It's fun. It has a really fun beginning. So everybody laughed. Like everybody who I gave it to read was like, that is just so you.
I love the uniqueness. Claudia, how can people get in touch with you or find out more about you?
Yeah, so my website is vibranthealthbyclaudia.com, and hopefully by the time this is up, there's also going to be a /resources with other ways to find me. I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Claudia Haller. Facebook and Instagram. On Instagram, I'm the Brain Health Coach.
Okay, awesome. All of your links will also be in our show notes. So if people are watching this, you can see that as well. Well, thank you, Claudia, for being a part of the book and of this podcast and sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me, Camille.
You are welcome. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. For more information about the Soul Professional Movement, you can go to soulprofessional.com. This podcast is sponsored by the Natural Life Business Partnership, a global professional organization and business incubator for the soul-aligned entrepreneur. If you live in a higher vibration, have an alternative approach to business, and want to help repair the world, come join us at our next meet and greet. To find out more, you can go to soulprofessional.com. Thank you, everyone.